Well, Tony Costa here from Trial Apologetics. So glad that you could join us. We're continuing in our series on refuting Sheikh Uthman. Before doing that, I'd like to mention again my book, No King But Christ, The Collapse and Bankruptcy of Secular Worldviews, has been published. It was actually published on Christmas Eve, which is very apropos considering that Christmas Eve is the celebration of the birth of the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And so the book is out and you can purchase it on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description box below where you can purchase a copy of the book. There's a copy of it right behind me here as well. It doesn't have that gray bar going across. This is just a print copy. The book that you actually will buy will not have that gray bar, but it's a book that, again, my most recent book that I've written on the subject of our contemporary society and where we are in relation to um, um, the kingship of Christ. And so that is why I entitled the subtext is the subtitle rather is the collapse and bankruptcy of secular worldviews. And so I deal with a lot of present day issues, social justice, the whole confusion about sexual gender and so forth. And so once again, the link is available down below in the description box. Also want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel, Trial Apologetics, if you've not done so already. It is 100% free. And also to like the video and to share it as well. So today in this Refuting Sheikh Uthman, I'm going through I still can't believe Muslims are still plugging away at Song of Solomon 5:16, that Muhammad is mentioned in the Bible. It's one of the worst arguments, one of the silliest arguments that I've ever heard. Next to, I mean, this is associated with the whole idea of Muhammad being predicted in the Bible, but this one really takes the cake. This idea that Muhammad is his name is in the Bible. He's mentioned by name and so forth. And what you're going to see in this video, the shorts video, is this TikTok video rather, is Sheikh Uthman just battering against some Christian pastor who doesn't know his Bible. Well, he may know it, but he's not familiar with the Hebrew language and the Hebrew Old Testament. And this is just some of the weirdest, some of the most, I don't even have the words for this. This idea that Muhammad is mentioned in the Bible by name, and of all places in the Song of Solomon, which is one of the wisdom books, one of the five wisdom books in the Old Testament, a book that even Muslims have condemned and dismissed as a pornographic book because of the romantic language in there between a husband and a wife. Um, and how Muslims have, oh, it's a pornographic book. It's proof that it's not the word of God. The Bible is not the word of God because Song of Solomon is pornographic, and yet Muhammad's in a pornographic book. I mean, you can't have it both ways here. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So let's take a look at this video with Sheikh Uthman and the incredible um, rhetoric that he uses here in trying to argue that Muhammad is actually mentioned in, of all places, the Song of Solomon. And I've spoken on this before, and others, many others have done the same. So let's just listen.
I got you. So in the song, I got you. So
Let's take a listen.
in the Songs of Solomon, for example, the word Muhammadin is mentioned, right? Yes. Yeah.
The name Mohammedan is mentioned. Well, the Hebrew word is actually not Mohammedan. It's Mahmad is the root word, as we will see soon. And what Song of Solomon does is it gives us the plural of that word. It's pronounced Mahmadim, and it's not a name. It's a noun, but it's functioning as an adjective. It's actually in context. It's actually referring to Solomon. The Shulamite woman is addressing her husband, and she's saying he's altogether lovely, he's desirable. And that's what the Hebrew word there means. It means desirable. and altogether lovely or pleasant and so forth. But Sheikh Uthman, who doesn't know Hebrew, pretends to be a Hebrew scholar and goes off the deep end here into left field and tries to convince this unsuspecting Christian pastor here that Mahmadim is a name. It's not a name. It's a noun. And in context, again, context is king. It's referring to King Solomon. Let's listen in.
So the word Muhammad is mentioned in the Song of Solomon.
No, it's not. The name Muhammad is not mentioned in the Song of Solomon. You see, folks, this is what I'm talking about. When you have to be deceptive and use all means necessary, by all means necessary, as the communists used to say, can you now understand why Christians keep arguing that the Quran says Allah is al-Makarin. He's the best of the deceivers. He's the best of the deceivers. When you have to use deception in your dawah, in your preaching, on the streets, when you have to use deception, you are reflecting what the Quran says about Allah, that he is the best of the deceivers. You're doing what your God does. But deception is not truth. Deception is a form of lying, and it's sinful. So let's continue listening. The butchering of this biblical text is just incredible here.
Right?
Let me find it.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
I got you. Take your time, relax. Hebrew, you skipped it.
Well, what did he cut something out there, obviously.
Up, up, up,
No,
right
here,
there.
here.
Hebrew.
Yeah, I know. It's here as well.
You can debate, you can
Okay.
discuss. Isn't it great? We have
5:16.
We're able to speak and debate.
I do.
Isn't it
Yeah.
wonderful?
Okay.
So the Bible says,
So where else is it mentioned?
Saved,
The Muhammadan is mentioned right there, right?
true God.
It's not Mohammedan. It's Mahmadim. He can't even get the wording right. And again, folks, again, at least try to correct yourself. If you're wrong, admit it and try to correct yourself.
Jesus.
Right. Can you play the audio?
It says sweetness.
Right. But what is the word?
See what the pastor's saying there. It means sweetness. It means desirable. He doesn't care. Sheikh Uthman does not care what the word means. Even though it's the Hebrew word that means desirable, pleasant, he doesn't care what the word means. All he cares about is, what does it sound like? And this is what I have called, and I don't think this has been cataloged yet in books on logic and fallacies. This is what I've termed the phonetic fallacy. Well, it sounds like it's like that old. I know I'm going to show my age here, but it's like that old show on TV called Party Game, where you're trying to discover, or you're trying to figure out what people are saying. They can only use hand motions, and one of the hand motions was they would tap their ear. I mean, it sounds like, and then you'd have to guess. It's the old show called Party Game. Again, I know I'm showing my age here. This pastor rightfully said it. It says altogether, it's lovely, desirable, pleasant. We don't care what the word means. I have an agenda here. My agenda is to try to convert you to Islam and tell you that Muhammad is in the Bible by name, even though he's not in the Bible. That is poppycock, as the English say.
Muhammadan.
Do you believe
It means sweet.
Mahmadim, not Mohammedan.
Muhammadan.
Jesus?
So again, what
I'm not sure that it's a verb. Is it? Is it a verb?
it actually is, it's a noun,
Okay.
and it shows a sweetness. Now listen to it.
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard
You've heard
I've
it?
heard
So you heard it say Muhammadan?
So that's right.
Mahmadim, not Mohammedan.
That's one verse.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, I got you.
The pastor, of course, said, well, this is one verse. Well, again, and I feel bad for this fellow because he's confused here. Sheikh Uthman is basing this whole thing on what it sounds like. What does the word mean? Because we're going to look at an example of a Hebrew word that sounds like a word that Muslims use. And if I just ignore the meaning of the word and just go on the sound, it sounds like something that Muslims believe in. And we're going to take a look at that.
So I got you. Listen. Now, show me Jesus in the Old Testament.
Right.
I showed you Muhammad now, right?
Okay.
Did I show it to you?
No, you didn't. You didn't show Muhammad. You showed him a Hebrew word that means desirable and something that is pleasant, and it's referring to the Shulamite's husband, who happens to be King Solomon, who also drinks wine. In Song of Solomon 5, verse 1, it says he's drunk his wine. And it also addresses the daughters of Jerusalem because it's a wedding happening in the royal palace in Jerusalem, not in Mecca, not in Medina. But see, facts don't matter, folks. When you have an agenda, it's like the communists. They didn't care about truth. They wrote a newspaper called Pravda, which means truth in Russian. But there was nothing truthful about it. It was all communist propaganda. So you see, the end will justify the means. If you use deception to achieve your ends, it doesn't matter whether it's true or not.
You?
Yeah.
Okay. Showed it to him.
So he's giving us the thumbs up, like somehow, there you go. I've just shown you Muhammad's in the Bible. No, that's not Muhammad,
Okay.
right? There is a place in the Bible where it does talk about him. It's in Matthew 24, where it talks about many false prophets will arise and they will deceive many. Among many others, that does refer to him. Many Christians have acknowledged that throughout the centuries, even to this day. So here's the problem, folks. Let's take a look here for a minute. Let's take a look here. And in fact, let us actually look at Song of Solomon. We're going to look at the Song of Solomon. And I want us to look at the passage in question. Let me just correct that. Here it is. His mouth is most sweet, and he is altogether desirable. That's the word that translates the Hebrew word mahmadim. Mahmadim, not Muhammadan. Mahmadim. He's altogether desirable. This is my beloved, and this is my friend, O daughters of Medina. No. O daughters of Mecca. No. Daughters of Jerusalem. Now, if we look at all of Song of Solomon in context, there's something called context, right? So here you have, this is the husband, the masculine pronoun. He refers to his bride as his sister. Notice it says he's gathered his myrrh with his spice. And notice it says, I drank my wine with my milk. Question, does Muhammad drink wine? Did he drink wine? Sheikh Uthman, did Muhammad drink wine? Are Muslims allowed to drink wine? Well, this person here, the husband drinks wine. Is this Muhammad? Because he's the one who's called altogether lovely. He's called Mahmadim in verse 16. And then, of course, there's the others who join in, and then the bride searches for her beloved, right? This is again referring to her husband. All right. And then she goes on, she talks about her beloved. And then there's the others chime in again. And then notice the bride praises her beloved. She's talking about her beloved. My beloved is radiant and ruddy. She's referring to her husband, Solomon. And if you keep on reading, she says, his mouth is most sweet, and he is altogether desirable. And this is my beloved, and this is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem. There's the context, folks. It has to do with Solomon. It's a marriage song. It's a love song. It has nothing to do with a 6th century illiterate caravan trader in Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Nothing to do with him at all. Now, here's where it gets silly. If we look at Song of Solomon, and we look at the root word is mahmad. Mahmad. That's the Hebrew word, right up there. If you want to hear it, this is what it sounds like. I'll see. Hopefully it's loud enough.
Strong's H, 4261. Mahmad.
All right.
Mahmad.
Mahmad. There it is. Now, when we look into the definition of this word, right? It means pleasant thing. 4 times it refers to pleasant thing, pleasant, desire, goodly, lovely, beloved. Does it say anywhere, does it say this is Muhammad? This is a proper name? It's not a proper name. It's a noun, right? It's a noun. You see it right up here. It's a masculine noun. It's not a proper name. It's not a proper noun like John or Bob or Bill or Judy. And we're even told what it means. It means desire, desirable thing, pleasant thing. If you look at Strong's Concordance, he tells you again, desire, desirable thing, absolute, the absolute, here it is, this Song of Solomon, here's what it looks like, right? There it is right there, Mahmadim, Mahmadim. And what does it mean? It means what? Desirable, desire. And there it's used in the plural. This is a plural third person masculine noun. And then it shows you where it appears in the Old Testament and how it appears. And so if you look down here, you'll notice, and there's the Genesis Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon tells you the same thing. Nothing has changed there. So let's follow Sheikh Uthman's logic here and place the name Mahmad or Mahmadim wherever it appears in the Old Testament. So you'll notice here, folks, this is the Song of Solomon. His mouth is most sweet, yea, he is altogether lovely. He is Mahmadim. This is my beloved, and this is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem. So now let's apply the word Mahmad or Muhammad. Let's just use the word Muhammad, because what Sheikh Uthman is saying is his mouth is most sweet, yea, he is Muhammad. This is my beloved. Okay, which is not a name, by the way, here. Right. Let's apply to 1 Kings 20, verse 6. Yet I will send my servants unto thee tomorrow about this time, and they shall search thine house and the houses of thy servants, and it shall be that whoever is Muhammad in thine eyes, they shall put it in their hand and take it away. So, same word, Mahmad, desirable, pleasant. So let's call it Muhammad. That whosoever is Muhammad in your eyes. Does that make any sense in 1 Kings 20, verse 6? Okay, let's try 2 Chronicles 36:19. And they burnt the house of God and brake down the wall of Jerusalem and burnt all the palaces thereof with fire and destroyed all the Muhammad vessels thereof. Because the word goodly there is the word Mahmad. So can we say Muhammad is here? And destroyed all Muhammad vessels thereof. So Muhammad's vessels were in the house of God, the temple in Jerusalem. Do you see how silly this is getting? Notice the number 4261. It's that word Mahmad up here, right here. Notice it's the same words. Notice here too, Song of Solomon, same words. Isaiah 64:11. Our holy and our beautiful house, where our fathers praised thee, is burned up with fire, and all our Muhammad are laid waste. So Muhammad is laid waste in Isaiah 64:11. Muhammad has been laid waste. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Lamentations 1:10, the adversary has spread out his hand upon all her Muhammad, for she has seen that the heathen entered into her sanctuary, whom thou didst command that they should not enter into thy congregation. So in Lamentations 1:10, Jeremiah is talking about the destruction of the temple, and he's referring to the temple as in the feminine here. They spread out his hand upon all her Muhammad. So Muhammad was in the temple, and the adversary spread their hands on Muhammad. Do you see how silly this is, folks? What about Lamentations 1:11? All her people sigh, they seek bread. They have given their Muhammad for meat to relieve the soul. Wow. Now Muhammad is being fed as food. Now Muhammad is being cannibalized by the Jewish people in Lamentations 1:11. Again, all her people sigh, they seek bread. They have given their Muhammad for meat to relieve the soul. See, O Lord, and consider, for I am become vile. So they've become vile because they've eaten Muhammad. Does that make any sense? Do you see the word pleasant things? That's the Mahmad, right? Mahmadim, the pleasant things. But according to Uthman, that should be Muhammad. So Muhammad now is being eaten here for dinner in Lamentations 1:11. And then Lamentations 2:4, he hath bent his bow like an enemy, he stood with his right hand as an adversary and slew all that were Muhammad. And to the eye in the tabernacle and the daughter of Zion, he poured out his fury like fire. So now we're told here that he slew all that were Muhammad. See, folks, that makes no sense at all. And here it is. You can keep on looking here, and we'll just maybe just because you're getting the point here. This is just a folly, absolute folly. Ezekiel 24:16, Son of man, behold, I take away from the Muhammad of your eyes with a stroke. Yet neither shalt thou mourn nor weep, neither shall thy tears run down. So here in Ezekiel 24:16, uh, God is telling Ezekiel that he's going to take away from him the Muhammad of his eyes. So Ezekiel had Muhammad in his eyes. Again, I'm not going to belabor the point here, folks, because you're probably either getting bored silly or you're probably keeling over on your chairs and laughing. But this is what we have to deal with this type of nonsense, with this type of nonsense. Um, and I think that demonstrates that when Muslims have to become this bad at dawah, at evangelism, this is really bad. Now, let's now take a look and let's play the double standards game. Leviticus 11, verse 29. And these are unclean to you among the swarming things that swarm on the ground, the mole rat, the mouse, the great lizard of any kind. And here on the right, folks, and I'm going to see if I can bring this a little bigger so that you could see. Here on the right, you have the Hebrew text of Leviticus 11:29. And here, Hebrews read from right to left, Hazeh lechem ha-tameh, meaning, but to you, this is unclean. This to you all is unclean. And then it mentions here a set of animals. And here we have Ba-sharetz, Ha-shoretz, El Haaretz. That is to say, the swarming things that swarm upon the earth or upon the ground. And one of the animals he mentions here is Ha-toled. This is a rat or the mole rat, as you see here in the English translation. But then it says there's another animal that is unclean to them. And that animal that is unclean to them is Ha-akbar. And that is the mouse. The mouse. So among the unclean things that God tells the Israelites not to eat, they're not to eat the mole rat, and also they're not to eat the great lizard or any lizards, reptiles, but they're not supposed to eat ha-akbar, the mouse. That's the Hebrew word for mouse, the mouse. Ha-akbar is in the definite. In the it's articular, that is, it's the definite, the mouse. But folks, let me ask you this question. What does the word right here, what does this word akbar, oops, didn't like that. What does the word akbar mean? I'm just going to bring that up again. Just lost it there when I changed the page. What does the word akbar sound like to you? And that's this word here, akbar. Anybody know what that word akbar sounds like? When Muslims say Allahu Akbar, that sounds like they're saying Allah is a mouse. Akbar means mouse. Allahu Akbar means Allah is a mouse. So according to Islam, Allah is Mighty Mouse. He is actually a mouse. Because you see, Sheikh Uthman, I don't care what the word means. What does it sound like to you? What does it sound like to you? It sounds like Akbar, the word in Arabic that means greater. Allahu Akbar means Allah is greater. But in my Bible, Akbar sounds like the word Akbar, which you use, which means when you say Allahu Akbar, it means Allah is a mouse. And so when we go and we look at, let me just bring this up here, folks. I just want to bring us back to the blue letter Bible, here. And we want to look at Leviticus 11 and verse 29. When I go there and I want to know, well, what's this word here? This word for mouse here, and I look at that word there in Leviticus 11 and verse 29. Let me just bring up the lexicon there so we can take a look. We want to look at the interlinear there. When we look there and we see this word here, let's take a look at that. There's that word for mouse in Hebrew. Let's listen and see what it sounds like. Remember Sheikh Uthman said to the pastor, "No, I want you to listen to this word. Listen to the word. What does it sound like?" Well, let's listen in, folks. What does this word sound like?
Strong's H5909. Akbar. Akbar.
Akbar. Allahu Akbar. That sounds like the word Allah is greater. And therefore, since Allah is greater, Allah is a mouse. Now, why am I doing all this, folks? I'm doing this to show you how pathetic and how silly this argument is that Muslims employ. I'm trying to show you how silly and pathetic this argument is that Sheikh Uthman is doing, presenting this on the streets and presenting this as somehow revolutionary by butchering a text beyond recognition. And when I use his methodology, when I use his system of thinking, I can make Allah to a mouse. If you can make Solomon Muhammad in Song of Solomon 5:16, Sheikh Uthman, I can make Allah into a mouse. And the fact that you worship a mouse is the most pitiful thing imaginable. But Akbar doesn't mean a mouse in Leviticus, Akbar does not mean greater in Leviticus 11:29. It means mouse. No. Remember, it doesn't matter what it means because you didn't care what the word mahmani means in Song of Solomon 5:16, that it means desirable and pleasant. You don't care what it means. You're concerned about what does it sound like? It sounds Mahmadim, sounds like Mahmad. That's Muhammad. No, it's not Muhammad. Muhammad in Arabic means the praised one. And Mahmad in Hebrew means lovely, pleasant. It's a noun used as a descriptor. But that doesn't matter. As long as we can convince someone that we're going to lie about it and say it means Muhammad, when in fact it doesn't mean Muhammad. So if you keep on making Song of Solomon, if you keep on making Solomon Muhammad, we're going to make a Allah mouse. And it's the same logic you're using. It doesn't matter what the word means. It's what it sounds like. And that, folks, is the phonetic fallacy, which I've termed. I haven't heard that term used other places, but hopefully it'll gain some traction. When the phonetic fallacy, the way I put it is when you confuse one word for another word that sounds like that word, when you look at a word and it sounds like another word and you make the connection that they're the same, that, in my opinion, is a fallacy of logic. Folks, once again, the book is out, No King But Christ, Collapse of Bankruptcy and Second World News, and it is available on Amazon. I'll put, again, a link to that in the description box. Again, if you have not done so already, encourage you to subscribe to Toronto Apologetics, like the video, and use it and share it abroad. And let's get this information out there. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. And until next time, God bless. Bye for now.